Welcome to Romera Records Virtual Cast. Today we have on Atiba de Souza. How's it going?
Great. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. So yeah, found you from Podmatch and basically interested in what you do. So I guess let's go ahead and get straight into like who you are, what you do, and how you got started.
Yeah, so I run a video marketing agency. We serve primarily the medical profession, those that are leaving insurance-based care for private pay care. And I also own a virtual staffing agency.
Awesome. So when you did you just choose the medical field, or did you like kind of find that niche eventually?
Yeah, it's a great story, actually. Um, So, number one, I've been in business since 1996. And we've grown and morphed and changed and twisted and turned and all sorts of stuff since 1996. And during the pandemic was our last big pivot, like everybody else, right? As a marketing agency. And so we kind of retooled and restarted. And in that process, we grew back and we were doing okay. And I had lunch with one of my mentors. And we're not even 10 minutes into the lunch when he says to me, Atiba, what's the problem with your agency? And I'm like, what do you mean? Right. And I mean, he called a spade a spade. He's like, I can tell that you're stuck.
Mm,
And he said to me that day, he said, you need to niche down, which is what I teach a lot of people how to do in marketing. He said, you need to do what you teach people to do, niche down, and you need to get into medical.
mm,
And I said to him, I said, Dennis, I don't know the first thing about medical. I don't even know anyone in this space. I don't even know doctors. I'm not a doctor. How the heck am I going to get into medical?
mm.
Um, and about 8 months later, it happened. Yeah, about 8 months later, it happened. And it wasn't anything that I forced or even created, because honestly, I'd forgotten that he had said that,
Mm.
to be truthful. And I was on a call, on a mastermind call, and someone asked the question, and I answered the question. And then a couple months later, that guy comes up to me and was like, dude, your answer helped me so much. Would you come and teach my group of doctors about video marketing? I was like, okay, right. And I got there, and one of the people in the audience, and it was virtual, one of the people in the audience reaches out to me on LinkedIn a couple days later and says, hey, I am the former president of XYZ organization, and we have our annual event coming up, and I think you would make a great speaker. We'll pay for everything. Just come on out and talk to our doctors. And I said, okay, right? And yeah, it just all grew and blossomed from there.
Mm. Now that's really interesting because it's like you when you understood, what you almost didn't even really understand like that
Yeah,
you were good at it. You just kind of were able to understand that that's what the demand was. Like you understood that, oh, this is what people actually want or need. And I think sometimes as business owners, um, we can forget that what we see as a need or want in the market isn't necessarily true.
oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
because we might put more value on something than there actually is. We have a more perceived value than actual value sometimes. And
Yes.
when we see other people doing something, we might see, like, well, that's dumb. Nobody's going to buy that. And then that's the thing that sells out. Like that's the thing that people want all the time. So it was cool for people to let you know that that's the demand that they needed, and then you were able
Yeah.
to just deliver on the spot.
Yeah, and it's that's a lot of what we teach our clients too, in that you're not in the industry, in the business that you think you're in.
Mm,
Okay, any of us listening to us right now, that's reality. You meet someone and you ask them what they do, and I did it to you today. You ask them what do we do, and I said, we're a video marketing agency. Okay, but really, we make the phone ring for doctors. That's
mm,
what we really do. That's what the doctors care about, right? And That is always the reality in business. It's when you can understand the actual value that you're providing to your customer, that's when you understand what business you're truly in.
Mm.
Okay. Because right now you think about it in terms of what I do. Your customer thinks about it in terms of what the outcome is.
That makes a lot of sense. I was actually listening to somebody talk about that exact same thing. Is you need to think about what is the actual outcome that's going to happen, and that's going to be your catalyst of action. Like if
Yeah,
you're just thinking about, what can I do, then you're kind of going to miss the mark
by
on
far.
the actual outcome of what can bring you money, because you're going to
Yeah,
want to basically just do what helps you, like what's in my favor, what's going to help me,
yeah,
as a selfish way. But then you realize, like, oh, I just need to do what other people need, and and they'll just give me their money because that's what they actually need. So yeah, it's definitely a different way of thinking that you have to kind of revolt to.
yeah. And the thing is, because I know somebody out there is listening right now, and you're probably asking, okay, I hear y'all, but how do I know what that thing is? And truthfully, there's really only one way to know, and that is to ask. So we recently, late last year, introduced to the market our latest product, a DIY product, to help people with video creation. And we think it's a great product. We did all of our due diligence research to figure out the value it's going to be to the audience and so on and so forth. And we put it out and we had people buy it. And then I went back and I started asking some of the people who bought it and were using it, okay, so tell me, what is it that you're experiencing here? What's the value that you're getting? Right. And one of the answers that was echoed blew my mind. This was from a seasoned marketer. And he said, for the first time, I felt like someone actually taught me the principles of marketing. And
Mm,
that's the value of this. And here we are thinking the value is faster creation of video. And he's like, I finally understand what I'm doing.
mm,
You taught me why what I'm doing works or doesn't work and what I should do instead. Right. And so you only get there by asking, but so many of us are afraid to talk to our customers.
mm.
I know, I get there too. But we've got to talk to our customers because that's the only way we'll find out what truly we're providing to them.
I think a lot of people are afraid to talk to their customers because they they don't want to seem as if they don't know everything. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people, like a company wants to give off this um persona that they know everything. We've got it handled. We've got everything under control. Like you see all these videos on the social media, people asking a cop or like telling a cop, like, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. This legislation is like, that's a cop's worst nightmare, is a know-it-all. Like somebody
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's
Mm-hmm.
telling them their job, somebody who's telling them what to do. And so I think that's time that can be sometimes a business owner's biggest fear, is fearing that they might seem as if they don't know everything. But to me, that
Yeah,
can be your biggest strength, is
without question.
being able to reach out to your customers. Like that person that you were talking about
Yes.
probably feels more comfort and trust that you're going to listen to them because you had that conversation with them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. One of the interesting things is when you look at the early episodes of Superman, the series, the comics, and all of that, they actually flopped.
Mm,
And they flopped because Superman was perfect. Okay. They didn't take off until the Kryptonite and Lois Lane and
mm,
his issues with Lois, right, as Clark Kent came into the picture.
mm,
Why? Because he was inhumane. He wasn't a human. I mean, he isn't, but there was nothing that we could relate to. And that's what people want. People want that level of relatability
mm,
because they know they mess up, right? Now, on the flip side, I also get it because we're the company. We're supposed to get things right. We're supposed to know. We're supposed to do. I heard the story earlier this week on another call that I was leading. Doctor. He told this story of one of his mess ups. He went in to do surgery on a young man, a young athlete who had a knee problem. And halfway through the surgery, he recognized he was operating on the wrong knee.
Oh, oh my God. Whew.
Yeah, right? Now, granted, in your business, you probably never made a mistake that major. Okay. But how do you handle a mistake that you do make? How do you handle the fact that someone even complained and left a bad review? How do you handle those things? And you got to handle them in a very human way of accepting ownership, showing where you messed up and where how you can fix it, right? And we're afraid of that. We're terrified of that because what will their reaction be? Well, guess what? If the reaction is, oh my gosh, you're horrible, and they want to go off and they don't want to be your customer anymore, you probably didn't want them as a customer long term anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's a harsh reality that we've got to come to as business owners because so often we're chasing dollars from the wrong people and it's actually hurting us more than it's helping us.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's 100% true. It's so important for you to focus on the people who are actually happy to work with you and who are understanding. Like a lot of times if you are working that B2B, business to business where it's another business owner on the other end of your transactions and services, they usually understand a lot more when it comes to either a mistake or something like that. But they also understand like you should own up to if you are making a mistake or something like that. So the more transparent that you are, the more that people are willing to work with you and they want to
Absolutely.
work with you because they like this guy is willing to work through things. This guy is
I
willing.
can trust them.
Yes, yeah, and trust is huge. Like, in there like the review service called like Trust Pilot or something like that.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
people love being able to um, look at something and say, "Oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense." Like, I see photos of them doing this. I see videos of them doing that. All the like restaurants. I'm huge into going to restaurants, and if I can't see photos or menus or something on Google Maps, I don't trust it.
Exactly. Exactly. And the we talk about this in marketing. The goal of marketing is to move people along the continuum from getting to know you to liking you to trusting you
Mm,
because no one spends money with someone they don't like. I mean, sorry, they don't trust.
yes, yeah.
Okay? Let's face it. If you go to a restaurant and get bad service or bad food, are you going to go back?
No.
No. Why? Because you don't trust them. If someone walks up to you on the street that you've never seen before and says, "Hey, here are keys to a Benz and it's yours for free," are you going to take it? No. Why? Because you don't trust them. Okay. You don't do business with people you don't trust.
Yeah.
And that's true for your customers as well. And so they want to trust you. And part of trusting you is when you recognize that there are flaws. Things
Mm,
aren't always perfect.
yeah.
That's part of relationship. That's part of life.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've had to discuss with a couple people on my podcast before we talk. They always, they want to know like, so what are we talking about? Like what are we trying to do? And I'm just like, honestly, this is just a commercial for you because if somebody wants to do business with you after the podcast, it's probably because now they know who you are and now
Right.
they can trust you. So like this whole thing is literally so people can get to know you and understand who you are so that they want to work with you because
Yeah.
before then you're just a face that they just see on a website or maybe not even see your face. You might just tell people about your book or your website or whatever, and they're just trying to find out if you have good service. But the
Yeah.
podcast is like, oh, now I can get down to the nitty gritty and find out who this person is and find out if I even want to pay for their services.
Exactly. And there's a new phrase that I'm starting to use. I think actually this may be the first time I've used it publicly. I've used it internally with my team. So we're debuting this phrase here. Okay. No, but seriously, in what we do, we help people create a lot of content. And what we're looking at and what we look for is to create content that creates transformation, not transactions. It's
Mm,
the same thing here when someone's coming on the podcast. They're like, they think this is a transaction. No, this is about a transformation. Okay. And if we measure transformations and not transactions, the transactions will come.
mm,
And that's the challenge. We're so fixated on the end of our freaking noses. And I get it. You got bills to pay, you got things going on in your life. But when you stay so focused here, nobody else wants to come into that world with you. Nobody wants to be, they can smell it, they can feel it. But if you're focused on the transformation of the person that you're talking to, right? And helping them get from A to B in their life, right? Then, then and only then are they then going to say, hey, I can reciprocate to you. Here's a transaction that reciprocates. Okay. I show up here on the show with you. My goal here is to make you look good. I appreciate you trying to make this a podcast, but I'm trying to make you look good for choosing me as a host. I mean, as a guest, right? I want to make sure I deliver to for your audience something
mm.
that you would want, right?
That's all about creating the value. You're
Yes.
I'm trying to bring value to you by letting people understand you, who you are and what you do, and then you're bringing value to me by letting me post the podcast so that people can see, the kind of guest that I have on.
Yes.
And just, exactly what you were just saying is something that I try to teach to people is like, if whatever you're doing, if you're trying to work with somebody else, bring value first. Like,
Yes.
if you can bring value first, they're going to be taken aback from, like, whatever you have to offer them. If you say, oh yeah, I could do this and that. This is some stuff I've done before, and if you're bringing that value first, they're gonna love you. Like, no matter
Yes.
like whatever it is, and it
Yes.
always shows.
I say this quite often: give more than you take,
Mm,
right? And I would rather be in the emotional and relational green with you than in the red. So in
yeah,
other words, if you bring value to me, I'm going to one up you and bring more value to you,
yeah.
right? And that just causes transformation once again,
Mm,
growth, right? And that growth eventually turns into transactions. But I'm not measuring I know the transactions will come if I do these things right. It's kind of like the farmer who says, you know what, I want to pick apples, but I didn't plant anything. Well, hello, right? Or more true, I want to pick apples. I planted a bunch of seeds, but they didn't grow. Well, did you water them? No, I was supposed to put water, and that's a relationship. That's the transformation. Keep adding value. Keep adding value. Oh, but it's Atiba, then I'm giving everything of myself. Yeah, and what you got right now? You got nothing. You give of yourself, you'll get something.
that's 100% true, and I do think that a lot of people, they usually like to skip steps. Like, people naturally want to skip steps because they
Sure.
think it's going to
Yes.
save them time.
Yes.
When people think about something that takes a long time, like
Yeah.
growing a business, when
Yeah.
you think about those things, you're like, okay, what can I do to fast track that? How can I do that? And that's just naturally what people want to do, is like skip all the steps, go straight to, I make millions of dollars. But what they fail to do is understand that just putting in the work and the daily grind is the skipping steps. Like, you're skipping the heartache and the struggles of doing dumb stuff by just putting in the daily work and grind. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a problem that, you know, with relationships, like what you were just talking about, like just watering that plant and just going out there every day, water that plant, come back inside next day, do it
Yeah.
again. It's definitely something that people, they want to skip, but it's like, nope, you just got to do it. It's a small task, but just do it.
Yeah. And the reason that we want to skip is because we're impatient.
Mm,
Patience is something that is lost in society in every way. I mean, they even call it the microwave generation, right? Um, and now it's the AI, and everything just comes quick, 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 quick. And I get it, and I love it. I love the technology, and I love all of that, right? And I was having a conversation with one of my clients a little bit earlier today, actually, and I was saying to her, I was just like, because she talks about my level of calm, right? And I'm like, yeah, my level of calm is because I recognize the situation I'm going through right now isn't as bad as when I got a franchise snatched from me. I got hit with a $300,000 bill and I ended up in bankruptcy,
mm.
and cars repossessed. Not as bad. I can be calm through this, right? And it's like, that's one of the reasons that you want to skip all of those steps is because you haven't been through, as you said, the fire. You haven't been through any of the problems, right? Because after you go through the problems, you realize, yeah, we can't do that again.
Yeah, yeah,
That was bad. But that's why going through the steps and doing the hard work is the shortcut
yeah,
because it saves you in the long run.
yeah.
That discipline saves you.
When you see people who are doing those things, it's definitely like evident. It's like, oh yeah, that person has not been through that much because they're trying to get there too quickly. They're trying to just jump over everything. So, but yeah, like that story you were just talking about, like just being calm. It makes sense. Like people who you see are able to handle situations. They've been through stuff so that they
Yeah.
know, like, yo, this is nothing compared to what could be going wrong, what could be happening. Because
Yeah.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah. And so for somebody listening to us right now, you might be listening saying, well, I'm new in business or I haven't gone through that much stuff. So what you're saying is I got to go and screw up a bunch before this thing actually works. That's not what I'm saying either, right? That's not what I'm saying either, because let me see if I can remember this old parable. Um, um, the fool doesn't learn from their mistakes. The smart person learns from their mistakes. The happy person learns from the mistakes of others.
Mm,
And so right now, wherever you are, and I'm saying this when I say right now, because I still do this daily, you have to study, you have to learn continuously. I'm studying other people, people who've been in business before, things that they've gone through, things that they learned going through things. And so now I am able to augment my calm by understanding their trials and how they came through and add that in. This is where having a coach helps you. So if you're listening to us right now and you don't have a coach, yo, that's a big mistake.
mm,
There isn't a successful person in this world who doesn't have a coach. Every president, every leader of every country on this planet has a coach. Every athlete has a coach. Every actor has a coach. Every successful business person has a coach. And most of us, several. So if you have none, that's a big thing that you need to fix real quick.
what are some reasons? I like going down that rabbit hole right there.
Sure. Let's go.
People not understanding value in investing in themselves. What are some reasons why most people probably need a coach? I would say one is kind of getting that outside audit, you know, so that you
Mhm,
aren't just
mhm,
blindly auditing yourself, thinking like, oh yeah, I'm good on that. I don't have to.
mhm.
So, what's your take on some reasons why somebody would need a coach?
Absolutely. That's a great one, right? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Likewise, you don't know what your blind spots are. Okay. Right. I got a text message from someone yesterday about a salesperson on their team who's new on their team who sold their first thing after 90 days, made a $3,000 sale after 90 days, and then comes to her and says, "Hey, I just made a sale. I think I should increase my commission percentage should be increased, and I should get bigger commissions on other things too." And she's sitting there and she's pissed off. She's like, "It took you 90 days to make one sale, and one sale in, and you want to raise, right?" And I had to reframe it for her. And this is how a coach helps you. I had to reframe it for her because in the midst of all of that, she also had a bout of imposter syndrome.
Mm.
And I had to reframe it for her and say, "Listen, what he's actually telling you is I just made my first sale and I didn't realize how valuable what we do is, and I want a bigger cut. So you are sitting over here dealing with imposter syndrome, feeling like, oh my gosh, we're not that great. And your salesperson is realizing we're greater than we even realize we are. I want more." You see, a coach can help you reframe and see things from a different perspective that you can't see yourself. And this is hard. If you've been in business for any length of time, you know it is hard and it is lonely.
Yeah.
Lonely. And sometimes you get into places where you feel like, woe is me and it's only me. But a coach can help you realize it's not you. It's not you. It's part of the plan, part of the process.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is when you have a coach, they kind of help you understand, like, you're not the only person who's going through this. Like, there's a reason why coaching is a business, is because there's multiple people going through the same issues. Like, if you're a coach on a sports team and the point guard is having a hard time facilitating the ball and the shooting guard isn't scoring points, like, they're there to be like, "Hey, we got other guys who can also help out. We got other people who might be having a bad
Yes.
day as well." You
Yes.
have to work as a team to figure this out. And because you as the, let's say you're the shooting guard and you're the main scorer on the team, like, you might be thinking like, "I'm having a bad night, we're gonna lose." It's like, no, you got other people on the team that can help out, and, somebody else might be having a bad day, but there's at least somebody else who can,
Yep.
help out and do a good job. So not
Absolutely.
everybody is going to be stellar, every single night. Everybody has a bad day. So
Absolutely.
that coach kind of has that outside voice that,
Perspective. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So if y'all didn't get it by now, you don't have a coach, get a coach. Keep a coach.
What's something that you have been able to see in people, as far as like your video help, that people just basically they might have like a misunderstanding,
Mhm.
they might have a misconception of
Mhm.
that value of bringing in video, like you were talking about,
Yeah.
the doctors that you were helping out.
Yeah. So this is a great question. I'm going to answer that from a couple different perspectives, that if that's okay. The first one is in terms of misconceptions. You probably hear video and it's a little bit scary, and it's even a little bit daunting, and you probably have all kinds of visions in your head of what that actually means, and all of them are pretty much false. Okay, let me just start by saying that. Um, you don't need any more equipment than your phone, and you don't need anything more than yourself and to be yourself. This is not you trying to create TV quality production. That's not what this is about. Your customers don't care about that either. And that's one of the other misconceptions. People think that what their customers want, going back to where we were earlier, talking about value to the customers, right? And what it is you're bringing to market. So often we feel like what the customers want is this polished, perfect thing of us on camera, and it's not. They want to connect with you.
Hmm.
They want to know that you stutter, and it's okay because it makes them realize that you're human just like them. Okay. That's where the know, like, and trust starts. That's where it starts. Now, here's the other thing that I'm going to highlight here. Because you're probably hearing me say all of this and you've got all kinds of butts in your mouth. I get it. I get it because I hear them all the time. And let me share this with you. You not creating video and you not connecting with your ideal customer and you not bringing your product or service to market to the fullest that it's supposed to be is purely and utterly an act of selfishness on your part. You're being selfish. We talked about transformation, not transactions. You know fully that what you do creates transformation for people in some way, shape, or form. It brings value to them. You know that. And you not getting on video is robbing them of that value. And my friends, that's the definition of selfishness. Stop being selfish.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that 100% because I think that I even made a post about this a while back when I was personal training with people. I said that I don't think everybody just, law and stone, you have to do this. But like, if you are an educated person, like a personal trainer, whatever kind of coach or whatever, you have a borderline obligation to spread the knowledge that you know because if that's what you do, then that's what you do. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if you have dedicated your life to accruing knowledge, then it's almost irresponsible to
very.
not give people that benefit of who you are as a coach or trainer or whatever. It's important that you show people that you're capable of doing it.
And I'll go further. It's not about a coach or a trainer. You could be a widget maker. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your industry or field is. The fact is, you're good at what you do. You're great at what you do. You're an expert at what you do. That by itself, and I'm not even going to say borderline, is the obligation to share. It is. That's my view.
Yeah, I agree with it. And I do think that some people, um, whether it be the imposter syndrome thing or if it's the just being afraid to mess up, like I tell people who have those kind of issues, I tell them all the time, like, so what? If you feel like you're an imposter or you feel like you don't deserve to tell people information, so what? There's somebody out there who's spreading bad info. I guarantee you they don't feel bad about it. So just spread what you know. And if it's wrong, people will let you know. And if it's right, good on you. You did what you
Right.
were supposed to do. So it's important we just get out there and just go do, like, go spread the knowledge that you have gained because you're going to infect somebody with good info. And as you have continuously said during this podcast, you're going to transform somebody. And that
Yep.
person's going to thank you for forever because of
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep. And that's what it's about. That is what life is about. Right there. So yeah, I'm with you, buddy.
Is there anything that you have done with one of your clients or something that you didn't expect would happen? So let's say um, they made a transformation that has kind of helped them in their business where that wasn't like your main goal. Like, you went in there, you had a vision, you had a plan to help them, and then they had like this eureka, and then it ended up turning into something different.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I can harken back even to the story we started to tell a little bit earlier of, we put out a DIY product to help people create video using AI, right? And teaching them the process, the correct process to create good quality content. Um, and in that, created this is the way marketing should be done, right? And that was a transformation we weren't expecting there. In terms of getting people on camera, we get transformation all the time. Um, most of my clients, especially the doctors, come in and they're data nerds
Mm,
and terrified to get on camera, right? Um, and then we help them fall in love with the art of telling story
mm,
and sharing and being real, right? And it's changing their office environments even, you know. Um, so yeah, there's tons of times, man, where we have that opportunity. And sometimes you don't see it right away,
mm.
right? Sometimes you see it later on. And this one will be even interesting. Sometimes I see it after they stop being my client and they get it. Like I heard, um, I had a chance to listen to a recording of one of my former clients in a meeting sharing stuff that we had taught him over time that he'd grown to other people. Like he had just discovered it, which, great, whatever. But it's like, wow, he got it.
Mm.
Right. And now seeing their content continue, we love that because that's what it's about. Again, it's about transformation, not transaction. The transactions will come if you take care of the transformations. Okay. Um, One of the beautiful things that happens in as well, and I'll just share this, is that you can't predict the transformations always.
Mm.
You can think through what you think they may be, but be open and not rigid in terms of what absolutely and actually can happen and allow things to happen.
Something that you were just talking about is 100% true with so many people that I've just recently understood, and I'm definitely going to start using this tactic on people. But like a lot of time, I do video as well, not specifically in the medical field, but
Sure.
uh, I've been working with companies to help them with their like marketing and stuff like that. But I was just doing an interview with a guy. Well, it wasn't an interview; it was like a commercial for him
Mm-hmm.
and his business. We were just doing like a interview style setup, just
Mm-hmm.
camera inside,
Mm-hmm.
and very nervous, just talking about his own business, like just couldn't think of anything. And then we started talking about like testimonials or stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, and then he just started going off about this story, and then I was like, "That's it." Like once he started telling me a story, he recalled the story perfectly
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
talked. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, yeah, that's it." As you said, authenticity and just telling a story that he just knew and was a part of. It was just so real and just raw that that was easy for him. I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, that's what I got to get everybody to do is just tell stories and I'm good."
Yeah. Yeah. And and so let me crosswalk that now to someone who's listening, who's getting on camera themselves, by themselves, right? Look, let me just be honest with you. Your first 10 videos are going to suck. Okay. Let me just go ahead and be honest. But you got to do them. You got to get them out the way and you have to post them. You have to post them. It doesn't count if you don't post them, right? And you'll get to the place where Jackson just was, where that person told a story and then all of a sudden they opened and the whole thing blossomed. It takes a little while to get into your rhythm. Okay. It takes somewhere usually between 10 and 30 is when you start to hit your stride.
Mm,
But that's the key. You've got to do it. You gotta record them because you can say, "Oh my gosh, I gotta go all the way to 30 before I hit my stride." Yeah, but if you don't ever start, you'll never get to 30.
mm.
Okay. And in that process, don't go comparing yourself to other people. Don't sit there and say, oh my gosh, I just listened to this podcast with these two guys and man, they were both real articulate. I can't ever be like that. Guess what? I've been on camera since 2007. I was media trained by Bill Clinton's speech coach in 1994. I've been doing this for a while. So if you're just starting, give yourself some grace. To suck, it's okay.
And that goes back to what we were talking about, like people wanting to skip the steps. Like
Hmm.
they see other
Yes.
people prevailing and they're like, man, like he's so good, like I can't be like that. It's like you don't know, like you just told us how long it took you to get, from where you're at. It people don't see, like people didn't know that you've been doing that since 2007. They didn't know what happened back years ago. So they just see you today, and
Yeah.
in their head, you started yesterday. You know what I mean? Like in
Right.
your head, they don't see that time gap. And so when they think about themselves starting, they're like, well, he's like that today. And I got to be like that tomorrow. It's like, no, you've got to put
No,
in the time.
you got to start. You got to start. You got to go through it. And it's okay. It's okay. Go through the steps. No shortcuts.
If you're working with somebody who is, kind of in that situation, they're struggling with making the content or just getting on camera. What are some tactics that you would use to help them pump out that content a
Yeah.
little easier?
So, number one, hire a coach like me. A coach like me will help you get it out. So, that's number one, right? But in all truth, that's not always possible. And it's not always fiscally responsible to hire an organization or an agency like mine. And I get that, right? So here are a couple tactics. Here are a couple tactics. Number one, understand this is a conversation. Think about it. Right now, I'm having a conversation with you. It's me and you talking. There isn't anyone else listening. You may be driving in your car or jogging or wherever you are right now, but it's just me and you having this conversation right now. Same thing. You're having a conversation. When you turn the camera on, you're having a conversation with one person. Imagine that person. Okay. Right now, and I'm not going to describe you, but I can see you. No, it's probably not what you look like, but that's my version of you that I'm talking to. And we're having this conversation right now. Do the same thing. Now, if you don't have a crazy imagination like mine, here's another tactic that I used to use that worked really, really well. I put someone behind the camera and I looked at them and talked directly to them. Sometimes it was a baby. Okay. All right. Sometimes it was my kid when they were babies. Sometimes it's a coworker. Sometimes it's a spouse. But put them there and talk to them because it's not about the camera. It's about the person that you're connecting with. It's about the person that you're connecting with. Now, some of the other logistical things. So you're going to say, I will get on camera when I lose 5 pounds. No, you won't. So just do it now. I will get on camera when I do my hair and makeup. You're fine. Do it now. And I'm not saying you got to be a glamour puss and all. Yeah, people want to connect with the real you. People want to connect with the real you. Well, I don't know what to wear on camera. That used to be me. It did. And I used to agonize over what to wear on camera. So you know what I decided to do? I went to black shirts.
Mm.
I only wear black on camera. Made my life so much easier. I now have a section in the closet of black shirts. Pull one, put it on. Pull one, put it on. Okay. Stop overthinking it. No one is watching you on camera and wondering about the shirt you're wearing, about the shoes that you have on. They're not. They want to know if they can trust you. They want to know if they can trust you. And if you've got that one Louboutin, and I'm talking to the ladies now, Louboutin purse, and you want to have that on because in your video because you think it makes you look posh, but you're serving clients who can't afford Louboutin, guess what? You're alienating your client. Be you on camera. That's what I'd say.
That is phenomenal advice because I think most people, even down to you saying, your child or somebody, putting them as the face that you're talking to. It's most people who are nervous don't think straight, and
Facts.
that is such a simple tactic to use. Is like, yeah, just picture some like the person you're talking to right there. That's the camera, and just as simple as that. And also the other simple thing you said, like I decided to wear black shirts. Like you're taking the decision making out of it and just
Yes.
creating action
Yes.
because mistakes, not mistakes. What's the term I want? I guess just like
Uh, um, Stagnation,
yeah,
pausing,
yeah, your procrastination.
procrastination.
Yeah,
Yes.
like that happens when you think. And
Yes.
if you don't have time to think, then you can't procrastinate. Like you have to make an action. Like you have to do something.
Yes.
And that's exactly
Facts.
what you did with the whole like, oh yeah, I don't have to think about what I'm going to wear. I wear black shirts, so I don't have an
Yes.
excuse
No
for not
excuse.
knowing what to wear. I grab a black shirt.
The the confused mind takes no action.
Mm,
And the easiest way to confuse an adult is to give us choice.
yeah.
Okay. So take choice away from yourself. Take it away from yourself. And you'll have a ton. And this is not just about getting on video. This is a life principle, right? Take choice away from yourself. Now, what's that? Let me unpack that even a little bit. What does that look like, Atiba? Take choice away from yourself. So, like, for example, for me, one of the things for me, I travel a ton, a ton, a ton. I'm rarely ever home, but when I am home for stints, I get bored being in the house. And I get very stagnated being in the house, thinking about things the same way. So I know that there are certain things that I need to be creative about, that I need to think through and ideate through. So guess what? I've got a seat at the Panera Bread down the street, and that's where I go. And when I go there and I sit there, I've told myself when I'm sitting in this seat, I'm going to be creative. I've given myself no other choice, but in this seat, that's what we do. And I go there and I just pump stuff out.
Mm.
I didn't give myself a choice. That's what I go there to do.
Yeah,
Right?
I've definitely had that conversation with people of stop giving yourself the option to do stuff. Like if you so for instance, if you're a procrastinator or something
Yeah.
of that nature, you probably don't have enough stuff to do in that day. But if you are constantly busy and your day is full, you don't have time to procrastinate. You don't have time to make excuses for doing stuff because like, hey, I have to get this stuff done within the day. So
Yes.
that's
Absolutely.
basically what you did with if I'm here, this is what I'm doing. You know,
Yes.
I don't have time to do anything else. I can't be, you know, letting my mind wander. This is the goal. This is what I'm doing,
Yes.
and it's effective.
Yes, it is. And so let me make this even more practical. And so one of the things, Jackson, that people say about me and our organization is the velocity at which we move. We get a lot of stuff done in very compressed spaces of time. Okay. And a lot of that is due to something that we put into place several years ago, and it's called the one thing. And so everyone, company wide, self included, report every single morning, what is the one thing that I must do today that's either one, going to make everything else obsolete, okay, or everything else easier. So, like, what's that one thing? And then we set out to do that one thing first. You know how freeing it is when you get that big thing done and off? Yeah, that beats procrastination all the time. Okay, so that's a very practical way. If procrastination is an issue, spend that time either in the morning or before you go to bed and determine what is the one thing that I must get done and get it done first thing.
Yeah, if you don't, you'll put it off. Like, people are just innately like that, and that's why I always do just that. Like, I'm like, what do I really need to get done today? And then I go do
Yeah.
that, because
Yeah.
if not, those excuses will pile on. It's like, well, I can't do that because I got to go do this. Well, I can't do that. It's like, no,
I only got 30 minutes and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's actually about time to wrap up. If you could go ahead and give everybody like contact info, how they can reach you, see your stuff,
yeah,
all that good
yeah,
stuff.
absolutely. So I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation that we've had today. And, probably I opened up more questions for you than I answered. And if that's the case, I'm not really sorry, but I am in a way. Here's what I'd like you to do. Go to meetatiba.com. That's meet, ATI, B as in boy, A.com. That's going to take you directly to my LinkedIn. When you get to LinkedIn, don't hit the follow button, hit the connect button. Hit the connect button. Tell me that you saw me here on Jackson's show. Let's talk. I want to talk with you one on one, human to human.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
and
you.
talking about all your experiences, how you've delved into what you do, transforming people, giving people a reason to get up and actually take action on the things that they really care about. So again, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.